Hey guys, today we're going to talk about creating an outline for your newsletter story. Last week, you used the sources that you gathered to take notes from those sources and find out the important information you want to share in your story. So, today we're going to take that information and put it into chunks that make sense and create an outline, which will help you write your story next week. So, let's start by showing you some examples. The first one is a news story that a student, Clara, wanted to write about the district's firewall. She was very frustrated. She felt like every time she went to use something, it was blocked. And so she wanted to find out the district's policy, who enforced it, and if there was anything that could be done to change it. So the first thing she has is her lead, which is her opening statement that's going to grab her reader's attention. This doesn't have to be exactly what you're going to use as your lead, but it could be. So she wanted to include something about, have you ever looked up a site on a Chromebook and found that it was blocked? That's kind of how she wants to approach it with her reader. Her first chunk of information she wants to share that she found in her research is why the websites are being blocked. And three things she wanted to include were the reasons that she got in her research from her interviews and mainly interviews there with people from the district. Who does the blocking in the district, and what is the current policy? And that she found online. The second chunk of information she wants to share is, how do you go about getting a site unblocked? The first thing she wanted to include was why some sites could be unblocked. She found out through our IT people that there are reasons for sites to be unblocked. And so she wanted to include those. Then the next thing was how to get it unblocked if there was a good reason. And finally, she wanted to know if there was a difference in maybe some sites being blocked at school, but not being blocked after school. And she got some information about that. So she put that all together. Her third body paragraph, she wanted to know what things students wanted to have unblocked. So she actually did some interviews with some students and found out what types of things they wanted to have unblocked and why, and then compared that with what the district thought about those sites. And so in closing, she wanted to tell the reasons the district gave for blocking and that it was possible for some sites to be unblocked. So you'll see she used her notes to create her outline, which is going to be a roadmap for how she writes her story the next week. The second example is a feature story about anime, and this was Amelia. She loved anime, and she wanted to write about the pros and the cons. So she did a little bit of research, and in her lead, she wants to grab the reader by saying something to the effect that out of 10,000 animes, there are good ones for kids, and there are some that are not good. So the first paragraph, or the first body chunk of information she wanted to include, is what anime is, because some people didn't know, and why it can be good for kids. And so the three main things she wanted to talk about here are the funny characters, how it helps some people make friends, and how there are positive themes in anime. The second chunk of information, she used a source called Common Sense Media that broke down the different types of anime and the ones that were appropriate for which ages. So she was going to spend the second part of her story talking about the appropriate animes for each age group. And finally, she wanted to look at the counterclaim of people who said animes were bad. And she was going to address the fact that there are some inappropriate themes and that is something that students and their parents will have to be careful with as children or as the students use anime or watch anime. So she addresses that counterclaim and says there is some validity in it. And in closing, she wants to talk or wrap up and say that there are good anime, there are bad anime, but overall, with the right precautions, anime is something students could enjoy. The last example I have for you is another feature story about Disney Plus. When Adam wrote this story, Disney Plus was a new thing. So he was going to just start the story by giving a brief description of what Disney Plus is. He wanted to spend his first paragraph talking, or body paragraph talking about how you get it, and you'll see his details, the cost. The platform is available on when it was launched and available. The second part of his body of his story, he wants to talk about the content, what you can get on Disney Plus. There's different shows Age restrictions apply. There are new shows that haven't been out before, other experiences that are unique to just Disney Plus. And then he didn't want to spend a paragraph talking about problems with Disney Plus, server issues, minor issues, unavailability for some people. And then his closing statement, he wasn't real sure yet what that was going to be. So he just put that it would be there. And I was okay with that because he had so much detail here. I know that when he writes a story the next week, it will come. The only thing I did not give you an example of is an editorial, but an editorial follows the same example, except your lead and your closing are going to be opinion statements. So, like last session, when Nishad wrote an editorial on bringing back ice cream to the lunch menu, he was very passionate about that. So, his lead was, I think the cafeteria should serve ice cream again. And so he spent the paragraphs, the first one talking about when it was taken away and why. He interviewed the lead cafeteria person for Chartwell and found out that because of all the new changes, they did not want to have it extras until they'd gotten down the main part of what they were doing. He included in the body of the second paragraph of his body, nutritional information about why ice cream is a good choice for students to have, and also how the money the cafeterias raise could be used for good things. And the third paragraph, he talked about how Chartwell plan to introduce new items soon, including ice cream and maybe other choices as well. And so his closing, he just summarizes they need to bring the ice cream back. So this week, what I want you to do is look at your notes from last week. Click on the document that is your outline document included in Google Classroom today. And it looks pretty much like a blank document with some numbers. And when you're finished, it should look very similar to this. 3 is the minimum number of chunks or body paragraph. Some of those may be broken into more paragraphs later, but the 3 chunks of information or reasons you want to share, and they need some details under them. You can have more than 3, but 3 is the minimum. If you have any questions, you can shoot me an email, and I will be here. Have a good day. Bye.